Here's something most guys never think about. When a woman hugs you, she's already made a decision before her arms even reach you, and that decision has nothing to do with being polite. The difference between a friendly hug and a romantic one isn't about how long it lasts or how tight she squeezes. It's in the details you're not trained to see. The micro moments that flash by in 2 seconds, but carry 6 months of unspoken feeling. I've given both kinds of hugs more times than I can count, and I can tell you exactly what changes when the feeling underneath shifts. Once you learn to read these 20 signals, you'll never wonder where you stand with her again. 1. She hugs you at a moment that doesn't require a hug. You're standing in her kitchen, you just told her you finally booked that trip you've been talking about for months. Nothing emotional, nothing heavy, just a casual update. And then, she hugs you. Most guys think nothing of it. They assume she's just a warm person. But here's what's actually happening. She manufactured a reason to touch you because she wanted to feel you close. A friendly hug has a clear trigger. You're saying goodbye? You haven't seen each other in weeks. Something significant happened. But a romantic hug doesn't need permission from the moment. She creates the excuse herself. If you notice her hugging you after small wins, random comments, or moments that don't traditionally call for physical contact, that's not friendliness. That's her nervous system reaching for something her words won't say yet. 2. Her breathing changes against your chest. This one requires you to pay attention to something most men completely ignore: what her breath does when she's pressed against you. In a friendly hug, her breathing stays steady, shallow, maybe unchanged from the moment before contact. But when a woman is romantically drawn to you, her inhale deepens the moment she settles in. You might feel her ribs expand, her chest pressing slightly firmer into yours. This isn't performance, it's involuntary. Here's why it matters. Deep breathing is a physiological response to emotional activation. Her body is trying to regulate the spike in her nervous system, the one caused by being this close to someone she actually wants. Most men feel the hug and think, that was nice. They don't register the breath, but the breath is where she stops performing and starts feeling. It's one of the few signals she can't control, which makes it one of the most honest things she ever communicate without words. And if you're paying attention, you'll notice your own breathing wants to match hers. That's the moment something wordless passes between you. 3. She creates a reason to hug you twice in one interaction. You said hello when she arrived, hugged her then, normal. But now it's 40 minutes later and something small happens. You made her laugh. You told a story. You complimented her accidentally. And suddenly she's hugging you again. Most guys brush this off to hugs. She's just affectionate. But here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. 1 hug is social. 2 hugs in the same interaction is emotional investment. She's not hugging you because the moment called for it. She's hugging you because she's been looking for a reason to do it again since the first one ended. That second hug often comes with less buildup. It's faster, more instinctive, less polished, and that's exactly what makes it more telling. When a woman finds herself reaching for you twice in one sitting, it means the first contact didn't satisfy the craving. She needed more. And if you notice this pattern repeating, if she's consistently finding excuses to touch you again and again within the same window, you're not in the friend zone. You're in the waiting room for something. She's still figuring out how. To say before we continue, I want to mention something that actually matters in moments like these. How you feel when she's pressed against you. Because here's what most men don't think about. When you're running low, when you haven't felt like yourself in months, it shows up in ways you don't notice, but she does. The way you hold her, how long you hold her. Whether she feels a man who's fully there or one who's just going through the motions. And if you've been feeling like a diluted version of yourself lately, that's not something to ignore. That's why I've partnered with Axo Supplements. Their men's vitality formula supports energy, stamina, blood flow, and the kind of quiet confidence you feel in your chest, not just your head. 2 tablets in the morning, no crash. And by the time you're with her, you're not dragging. You're not halfway present. You're solid. I got you 20% off, but only for the first 100 orders. Links in the description and pinned comment. If you've been feeling off lately, don't let another month slip by like this. Now, let's talk about what her fingers do when she doesn't want to let go. 4. Her fingers move after the hug. Has started. Most hugs are static. Arms go around, hold briefly, release. That's the friendly template. But when she's feeling something deeper, her fingers don't stay still. You'll feel a slight grip adjustment, a press into your back. Sometimes her fingertips graze across your shoulder blade like she's memorizing the texture. This is subtle. Blink and you miss it. Why does this happen? Because a romantic hug isn't about completing a gesture. It's about extending a feeling. Her fingers move because she's not ready for it to end. She's buying herself another half second. of contact disguised as a natural shift. If her hands stay flat and motionless, she's being polite. If her fingers curl, press, or travel even slightly, she's feeling something she hasn't told you about yet. 5. She closes her eyes before contact. Watch her face in the half second before she reaches you. Not during the hug, before it. If her eyes close as she's leaning in, before her body even makes contact, that's not a casual greeting. That's anticipation. She's savoring the approach. Most people close their eyes during a hug because it's comfortable. But closing them before, that's someone bracing for an emotional experience they've been imagining. It means she's not just going through the motion, she's entering it. 6. The hug happens in front of people she wants to notice. You're at a gathering, friends around, maybe some people she doesn't know well. And that's exactly when she chooses to hug you. Not in a quiet corner, not when you're alone, but when there's an audience. This isn't coincidence. She's making a quiet announcement not to you, to the room. A friendly hug doesn't need witnesses. A romantic one sometimes wants them. She's marking proximity, signaling to others consciously or not that there's something between you worth displaying. If she hugs you more demonstratively when you're in public than when you're alone, pay attention to who else is watching because she already has. 7. She speaks into your shoulder instead of pulling back first. Here's a detail that separates friendly from romantic, almost instantly. In a normal hug, you embrace, you hold, and then you separate before either person speaks. The words come after the contact ends. But when a woman is feeling something more, she'll say something while she's still pressed against you. Her voice slightly muffled, her mouth near your shoulder or neck. It might be something small, I missed you, or you smell good, or even just a soft laugh. Why does this matter? Because speaking into the hug means she's not ready to leave it. She's extending the moment by filling it with words, so the transition back to normal distance takes longer. It's a stalling tactic wrapped in intimacy. If she pulls back and then speaks, it's friendly. If she speaks first and then pulls back slowly, that's a woman who didn't want the hug to end. 8. Her body arrives before her arms do. Most people hug arms first. They reach out, make contact, and then step in to close the distance. But watch what happens when a woman is romantically drawn to you. Her torso leads. She steps into your space before her arms even lift. It's like her body is moving toward you on instinct and her arms are catching up a half second later. This is significant because it reveals priority. Arms first is controlled, intentional, it says, I'm offering a hug. Body first is instinctive. It says, I want to be close to you. The hug is just the acceptable excuse. You'll feel the difference. One feels like a gesture, the other feels like gravity. And here's the thing about body-first hugs. They land differently. There's a soft collision, a moment where you feel her settle into you rather than simply touch you. That's not politeness. That's pull. If you're not just passively watching, but actually building a sharper version of yourself, comment growth below. That's how I'll know you're serious about this. 9. She hugs you differently when you're leaving versus arriving. Most guys don't notice this because they experience the two hugs hours apart. But if you paid attention, you'd see the difference. Immediately, the arrival hug is usually quicker, lighter. It's a greeting, a formality to acknowledge that you've reunited. The departure hug tells you everything. When she's into you, the goodbye hug carries weight. The hello didn't. It lasts a beat longer. Her arms hold firmer. There's a reluctance in the release, like she's bracing for your absence before you've even gone. This asymmetry reveals something important. She's not just happy to see you, she's already dreading the moment you leave. If her goodbye hugs consistently feel heavier than her hellos, that's not random. That's a woman who spends the time between your visits thinking about the next one, and the goodbye is where that feeling leaks through. 10. There's a pause before she lets go and she waits for you to break it. This one catches most men off guard.